and gentlemen. Yeah. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hi. I hope you're having a good day. It's my very privilege to introduce our speaker for this session. He is a member of Capital City Toastmasters.
Woo!
And I'm not sure if it's more important but he's also the second place winner of 2013 Toastmasters International Semifinals. I think you're going to have a good time by the looks of this crowd. Being yourself on stage, screaming confidence. Are you ready for it?
Yeah. Yes.
Let me just say, I'm the Sergeant at Arms. If you need anything, just do this. I'll be looking around the room. If it gets too warm, we do have the window open here.
Should we open another one to people ask?
You can try to open it. The only issue is the
Go ahead, Ben, open it up.
asphyxiation or noise from the street.
I'll be fine.
Okay.
Talk loud.
Scream.
I'll asphyxiate myself, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Reid Walley.
Wow, okay, we'll see you later.
Top on your head.
I brought this back for you. This only happened because I went and got advanced evaluations here in Sacramento over a 2.5-month period of time. And I got ripped to shreds by all the right people. I got ripped to shreds by all the right people with the right information.
Plan to do it.
With the right information. I would have not been number 18 in the world if it weren't for District 39 and the Advanced Toastmasters Club that ripped me to shreds and built me back up, Bruce Lee style. Ryan Avery talked about this book today. He didn't have it with him, but this is the book he was talking about this morning. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. You can also watch Simon Sinek's 18-minute video on TED Talks. TED Talks is amazing. I go to TEDTalks.com to get inspired on how to give a really, really good 18-minute speech. One of the topics I'll be talking about today, we'll start with why. Start with why, Simon Sinek. Why Toastmasters? There's a young man I ran into earlier today. He might even be in this room. He's been in our club for 30 days. He's not even a member yet. He's at this conference. He's going to be a member on Monday. I asked him, why did you get into Toastmasters? Being yourself on stage only matters if you know why you got into Toastmasters. Everybody has one distinct reason they got into Toastmasters. You don't accidentally slip and land in a club meeting. Oops! What am I doing here? You have a reason. Something at work? Something with your bosses want to see you do a better job? You get nervous? This individual in particular gets stutters, just like I did when I was in 3rd grade. Stutters made me feel like I couldn't do my job, even as a 3rd grader. The spelling bees ruined my life. Run up to the board. TH words killed me. Why Toastmasters? Part of controlling the stage and being yourself, as Ryan Avery talked about a couple of times today. Dress up, dress down, depending on how you feel. My going to Cincinnati and coming back in 18th place, and all of you who helped me do that, I want to bring back everything that I learned along the way. What I learned from Patricia Fripp, what I learned from Craig Valentine, what I learned from Lance Miller, what I learned from Randy Harvey, what I learned from Ryan Avery. Number one, when I won first place at District in Stockton, California, The best advice I got was, you keep floating back and forth on the stage. You need to settle down and just stop and make your point. It was some of the best advice I ever got. And then I looked at all the videos of the past 10 years world champion winners. Guess what? Not a single one of them paces. Not one. They walk over here to talk about their past and their childhood, and they stop and say, when I was 6 years old. And then they walk to the center of the stage and they say, when I was in college. And they walk to this part of the stage, technically stage left, something I'll get into. And they talk about their marriage and their children and their grandchildren. The stage has a timeline. And just as importantly, to being yourself on stage, you have to know where your landmarks are on stage. In January, I'm going to take everybody to New York City. All of you are invited. And we're going to look at the Statue of Liberty. And then we're going to cross the pond in February and land in London. And we're going to look at the Eiffel, the Big Ben Tower. Getting ahead of myself. And then in March, we'll go to Paris and look at the Eiffel Tower. The stage is both a timeline, January, February, March, as well as landmarks. New York City, London, Paris. And I had trouble understanding when I watched Ryan Avery in his 2012 speech. Why was he going to the back of the stage, right up against the flags? What did that mean? Luckily, I'm friends with Ryan Avery on Twitter. Not Tweaker. I'm not going to do that dance either. And I tweeted him and I said, what does it mean when you went to the back of the stage? Good question, Reid. It means three things. Either you're lying and you're backing up to cover it up, or you're in trouble and you're backing up to show it, or you're going into the past and you're backing up to show it. When Ryan gets in trouble by the sheriff, Snodgrass, he is both back in time and in trouble. He's right up against the flags. He's so in trouble and it's so back in time. And it made sense to me. As I watched Ryan's speech over and over and over to help me go to Cincinnati, every time he gets in trouble, every time it's in the past, he's right up against the flags. Suddenly the stage becomes a character. We're all going to be in Paris in March. Well, we're going to start in New York. Make the big trip over the pond, as my friends in England say it, land at Big Ben. Two of my competitors in Cincinnati for the semifinals timed out. And I watched them time out, and I could see when it happened. Both times they forgot where they were in their speech. One gentleman was right on his way, and for whatever reason, 45-second pause. My advice to myself and to you, we have to figure out a way to put our ending anywhere it needs to be when we see the red flag. Another woman, a fantastic speech. She's rolling along, we're all laughing. I'm like, she's doing good, she's doing good. My competitor. And everybody laughs except for this one moment where somebody by themselves in the audience goes, you go, girl! And it totally caught her off guard. She stumbled with her words. And she also didn't shorten her ending. It went over time. When I practice my speech now, I make sure it come in at 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So I have time to flub up. So I have time to be distracted. So I have time to think, did I miss a paragraph? Let's talk about when I forget a line. On my way to semifinals during the area contest, I forgot my line once. At the district contest, I forgot my line again. Table topics saved my butt. Table topics. On stage, looking you in the eye. I forget my line. Where am I supposed to, oh, what's my name, what title am I on? Table topics. It doesn't matter what I say at table topics, as long as it gets me back on track with my speech. Practicing my speeches at 6 minutes and 30 seconds means that I have flub time. I need flub time. Because when you're adding a stage as your character, it takes time to go from New York to London to Paris. That's 30 seconds. And then to get into the pose, and to take your time and not run across the stage, that's 45 seconds. Time in your time on your stage. Because your stage, like the I Love Lucy show, is part of your story. Just like I'm looking at you in your eyeball right now. Look at me and tell me the truth. My grandma used to say, look at me and tell me the truth. Especially in 3rd grade. Look at me and tell me the truth. Eye contact is something we have to get used to. Even when I forget my line, I have to keep looking at you. And then look at you. And then look at you until I figured out where in the world I am, Waldo. That takes practice. This audience of Toastmasters and advanced clubs gave me the best practice in front of a live audience of people who cared and were going to cut my arm off if I made a mistake. It's like a ballet studio. It's like a gym. It's like a martial arts dojo where I can be padded up and safe and have an instructor who's going to flip me on the ground, but he's not going to try to crush my skull. Once I get good enough, I can go into a dark alley and find some Hell's Angels to beat up. But Toastmasters gives me the best practice situation ever. A large stage being added to our speech. I had to find a place near where I live that I could practice every single day. It had to be 50 feet wide, and it had to be 15 feet deep. There's not a club that I know of that has that size of a practice area, except one in Foothill. But I can't use it to practice. I found a place a block away from where I live. It's a loading dock. It was perfect. It was 50 feet wide on this side and 45 feet on that wide, and it wasn't perfectly centered, but it didn't matter. It was 15 feet deep. Because after watching Ryan Avery, the actual stage in Cincinnati is 100 feet wide. There's nowhere in Sacramento to practice that size of a stage. So I took my script from my district-winning speech, and I found a spot, and I took my timer. How long does it take me to actually get over to stage left? Oh, I've got another thing I need to say way. 5, 10, 15 seconds. That's just walking time. That's why 6 minutes and 30 seconds is so important. Let me touch on butterflies real quick. I haven't gotten butterflies in a year. And when I went to a district club meeting, a guy immediately raised his hand and said, there's an old saying that if you don't get nervous, you're either a liar or you're a fool. I'm probably a little bit of both. But I have not gotten butterflies in a year. I get butterflies 6 weeks before I give my speech. The butterflies I get way back here 6 weeks before I give my speech are, do I have the right speech topic? Do I know my parts? Do I know my stage? Am I going to get tripped up when I go to London and Paris? Am I going to forget which comes first? Does Paris come before London? Does London come before Paris? That's when I get my butterflies. 6 weeks before. In Cincinnati, I don't get butterflies. I do 3 things when a butterfly gets near me. It is a 4,000-year-old Hatha yoga breathing technique that my mother taught me and my brother Lance. It's a 4 count. You breathe in for 4 count. Looking weird. You hold it for 4 count. Looking weird. and you exhale on purpose. Looking kung fu. If you do it enough times, you get high. No pot required. Oxygenation. I also square my shoulders. I need to break the butterflies in my stomach with another physical move. Boom. And I smile. Gotta break up the tension of my face. So as soon as I feel a butterfly near me, and it works. Over time, going back to my first icebreaker speech, I was terrified. Because like everybody, I started with butterflies, sitting in the seat, waiting for my name to be called. There's nothing worse than waiting for halfway through the meeting for my name to be called. It's like the spelling bee in 3rd grade. I know it's coming. I know it's going to happen. Just get it over with. The first 2 weeks I was in my Toastmaster club, a gentleman got up and gave a great speech. And then he sat down right next to me and he leaned over and he said, I'm glad that's over. I thought, wait a minute. That cannot be the way that we approach a speech. Glad that's over. I vowed right then and there in week 2 to make sure I enjoy being in the middle of my speech. In the middle. I get a little buzzed when you're in the middle. You'll get a little buzzed when you're in the middle, if you want to be in the middle. Because when he sat down at the Toastmasters club meeting, he said, I'm glad it's over. I bet that's exactly how most of us feel at work. Glad that's over. Toastmasters is your dojo. It's your dance studio. It's your gym. It's a place to practice, fall down, get back up. No broken bones. No death today. Feel a butterfly? When I was in Cincinnati, mic'd up in the back of the stage, ready to go on, and I heard all the laughter on the other side of the black curtain because the speaker in front of me was getting a lot of laughs. Instead of getting butterflies, a thought crossed my mind. Can I just go back outside and sit down and watch? I've done all the practicing all summer long. Isn't that enough? Do I really have to go on stage? Right there. Squaring the shoulders has an amazing effect of you taking control. There's nothing wrong with butterflies. In fact, invite them over on the weekend for a barbecue. Take them out for a beer. Nothing wrong with butterflies. I had to discover that butterflies were telling me you are alive. You are doing something valuable. You are getting it on. You're going to walk out on stage and be amazing. Whew. Here's the trick I learned. I see the audience as one beautiful mass of energy. And then I hone in on one person's set of eyes. Make a statement. Then move to another person's set of eyes. And make a statement. When I was a child, my dad always said. And then when I was an adult, my grandma really pounded me on this. We were in Paris. Well, we don't talk about Paris. But you look right in the eye when you make the statement. Look me in the eye and tell me the truth, because the eyes tell the truth. Part of being yourself on stage is getting the truth across. Nobody cares what you did yesterday. Nobody cares what you do tomorrow. While you're talking to them right now, right here, it's me and you. And the people around you will feel by looking right at you. It has a circumference, it has a radius. Chris Anderson is the man who puts all the people that we see on the TED Talks on the TED Talks. Chris Anderson bought TED Talks about 15 years ago. Don't quote me on that. But if you see an 18-minute speech on TED Talks, it's because of Chris Anderson. He is the curator. And here's what Chris Anderson has to say. I didn't want to get it wrong, so I'm going to read it verbatim. Perhaps the most important physical act on stage is making eye contact. Perhaps the most important physical act on stage is making eye contact. This from a man who makes sure that if you're going to be a TED Talks talker, you have 9 months worth of coaching. 9 months worth of one-on-one coaching for your 18-minute speech. Not only do you get a life raft for a TED Talk, you get a whole crew making sure you look good and sound good in our practice. Ryan Avery this morning talked about practice and hard work. And like Ryan, I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do my staging and to do my timing. And one day, I went out and timed myself just to make sure, because I had made an edit in my speech. How much is that going to put me over time? Well, let me turn on my clock and set it to go. Boom, okay, there we go. Ran through the whole speech. Nice big 50-foot stage. Blah, 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 blah. Somebody's walking by in the alley. Hey, how you doing? Great to have distractions for practice. And then I stopped my speech and I turned around and I looked at my watch, my clock, and it said 8 minutes and 45 seconds. There's something valuable and scary about knowing that something has to be cut out of your speech. What are you going to cut? We need a group in District 39 that is a small core of people who we can go to on a regular basis and help us with coaching. I don't currently know who that is. I don't currently know where it's going to be or how it's going to function. But we currently need some mechanism where we can talk to somebody one-on-one, get their feedback, but they have to be better than us. It can't be me, except to the level I've come to. It's got to be something better than me. It has to be a Ryan Avery, or a second place winner, or a third place winner, if we want to go to the big stage. And I need their advice too. Okay, now it's Q&A time. Woo! Is there anything that you think I didn't cover that would be valuable for you?
Great. You're a masterful, you have a really great mastery of pauses. Can you tell us how you got it?
Pauses. Okay, pauses.
Use of pauses.
As Ceci Dunn will tell you, the president of my club, thank you, Ceci. She's watched me on all my speeches. I really had to struggle to, instead of saying or ah, just to shut up. That's the secret. I had to learn to shut up. Thank you.
Did you have your complete speech memorized? So when you were in Cincinnati, you were there to support you, were there in spirit. How was it delivered? Was it from your heart that you knew it so well that you just went ahead with it? Tell us about that part.
I have a problem with my speeches in that I memorize them too well. I got a lot of great feedback that I was too polished. But the truth is, too polished doesn't feel. It doesn't emote. If I really just came from a funeral and I'm polished, I'm not going to believe it. You will not believe it. Moving forward, I will learn to memorize my speeches still, but maybe a little less. Maybe just understand, this is story number 1, this is story number 2, this is story number 3. I know which order they're going to be in, for sure. And like Patricia Fripp says, nail your opening, nail your closing.
That's right.
Nail, nail. A lot of hammering going on. As Patricia Fripp says, circular technique. And this is something I didn't know when I went to district. Opening and closing, just like Ryan Avery with at the altar, and ending with at the altar. I didn't know that ahead of time. Until I watched Ryan Avery's speech and thought, wait a minute. He's using the same line that he used from the beginning. He's cheating. You have nothing better to say? It's a fantastic technique. I'm standing at the altar. I'm standing at the altar. In my Cincinnati speech, I started with, yes! And I ended exactly the same way. Yes! Contest here. It feels like cheating. But Patricia Fripp is not wrong. Any other questions? I'll give you one. I'll give you one. What would you freak out about if you left it at home and you were in Cincinnati? Is it shampoo? Is it your favorite toothpaste? Is it your favorite deodorant? Aftershave?
Your nose.
Your nose? Your shoes? Your dress shoes, right? I forgot my moisturizer for my face. Didn't think about it. Think about what makes you feel comfortable. Being yourself on stage is about being comfortable when you're back in the hotel room. Because back in the hotel room, feeling comfortable all the way through the day means you will feel comfortable on stage. It starts back in the morning. Right. Feeling comfortable being yourself means being yourself way back at 6 o'clock in the morning. Taking a nice deep breath. Boy, it's going to be a crazy day. Take a nice deep breath when you can feel your mind wandering. What have I got myself into? Everybody's really excited for me, but I don't know.
Can you go into just a little bit more about your pregame, what you do before
Sure.
to give yourself the right mental space before a speech?
Bingo. 45 minutes before we competed, various competitors of mine did various things in the back of the room. Half of us went to the back of the room and practiced our lines. I did too. But I brought my favorite music with me. It's rave techno music. And I brought my headphones for this exact moment. When I had an hour before competing to put my headphones in, plug it in, put it in my pocket, turn around and face the wall, and practice my speech about 5 or 6 times. And I actually danced like no one was watching. For real. For real. It made me feel alive. It made me feel invigorated. It was a workout. It wasn't too much. It wasn't too little. It was just enough. Public speaking, you have to be a little weird. You do. You have to be a little odd. And that's part of being yourself on stage. One of the things I love about what Ryan Avery talked about, his practice sessions outside in the public in Seattle on the sidewalk with his hair combed across. People giving him money thinking he was homeless. When I practiced at the loading dock, it's in an alley, so people are walking back and forth every now and again. And I was surprised how much it actually threw me off. And I was glad people kept walking back and forth with every coming day because I got to get used to being distracted. Ah, that's what Ryan was talking about. You got to be weird when you go and give a talk at your